Evening, ladies. Welcome to tonight's breakout session, which is actually a roundtable discussion with our international guest, Cathy Daugherty. Did I say it correctly?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. The format's a little bit different than what our original plans were for an in-person roundtable, but you've all been so wonderful about making adjustments as we continue forward. So thank you for doing that. And thank you, Cathy. This session counts toward our statewide attendance award that was outlined in the March and the April issues of The Voice. So to get credit for being here tonight, please use the chat feature to sign in. You need to type your first and last name and your chapter's name. Make sure that you're sending it to everyone. You may do that now if you haven't already done so. I think most of you did it as soon as you entered. So thank you for being so prompt with that. Okay, at this time, please set your screens on speaker view and mute your computers if you haven't already done that. Eileen McNally from Beta Delta chapter will be checking the chat. So if you put questions in there, Eileen will be taking a look at that. And we're going to have Cathy introduce herself and get us started. So Cathy.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, let me tell you how excited I am that I'm finally here in Ohio, because you were on my list last year to be a visit, to get a visit from me. And I purposely gave myself this state because you have done some awesome things in the past several biennia, and I wanted to be there in person to thank you and to congratulate you on everything you have done. And now, even more so after a year with COVID, I'm even more impressed with the members, the DKG members in Ohio State Organization. So I am pleased that International President Becky Sadowski saw fit to send me again to Ohio so I could realize this one particular state visit that I really wanted to be participating in. I has been, or at least I thought by now I would be, but I have learned over the past year that an immediate past president, Diana, listen to this, does not mean that you are gone. You are in the wings, you are on speed dial, you are available to do whatever the president deems fit to ask you to do. And Becky has been very gracious in working with me and helping me, letting me continue things that were started the last biennium. We're working on the sale of the building. We still have one more meeting with Austin, Mayor Adler, to get through, and that's coming up shortly in May. But there are many other things pertaining to members and so forth that I've been asked to do, and I've enjoyed every bit of it. But I will tell you that I am learning to relax. Today, for instance, instead of hitting the computer bright and early at 7 or 8 o'clock, I did answer some emails. I spent time in my new favorite place, a she shed that I had built while I was in Austin. It is where I plan to sew, read, work on jigsaw puzzles, which I did for a couple hours this morning until I got so frustrated. It drove me to the garden, which is the other thing I like to do. I have gardens all around the house here in Virginia, and my favorite one has been neglected for about 4 years now, thanks to DKG. So I am pulling everything out except the peonies. And today I worked in there. And then, smart girl, I spent after lunch fine-tuning tonight's presentation. So I'm learning to prioritize in a different way. Instead of putting DKG first and foremost in the morning, I'm putting it more in the afternoon. And I have finally, and I'm a slow learner, figured out that the office in Austin doesn't open till 10, which is 11 o'clock here. So why am I there at 7 when no one's going to be sending me anything for 4 hours? So I've got my act together. I'm doing that. By 5 o'clock, I'm finished, and life in the house begins then. But that's what I'm up to these days. And I think that's the most important thing for you to know about your past international president at this point. She's not given up DKG. She is membership chair for her chapter. She has designed a website. I, with no IT experience at all, have learned about Weebly, and my chapter does have what I think is a very attractive chapter website. And I'm enjoying getting to know my members, the members again in my chapter, because I really have been out of touch doing so many things here at the international level. So that's who I am and what I am as of today, April 6th. Now we're going to get started and we're going to do things a little different. I'm going to try to share my screen, if I can, with you. Okay. Eileen, you'll have to let me know if I'm getting there. I'm not sure how to make it full screen. Let's see.
It'll go full screen automatically when you start to play it.
Okay. I just need to start it. Well, I'm starting. Oh, I see what it wants me to do. I need to say, that should do it, right? Perfect. I'm going to show you a couple slides, and we're going to start off a little different than you would have expected, because Becky Sadowski did send me some information she wanted me to share with you before we got started on talking about the issues in Ohio. And I promised her that I would do that first. So we're going to start with that. And then once I get finished with the topic she wanted me to cover, I will ask you for your topics. I will unshare my screen so that we can go back and see everybody, and Eileen will keep me posted as to who is the next person to be asking a question. So and please be advised, I want you to know this, I think you know it already, this session is being recorded, and I will use it as I complete a report that I'll be showing and giving to Becky later on. So just wanted you to have that as an idea of what we're doing tonight. First thing she wanted me to talk to you about were the international conferences, because she is aware that many of you still have questions about whether you are going to go or not go, whether you're going to see it virtually, or is it just going to be totally virtually. It can be face-to-face, it could be a hybrid, a mix of both, or it could be virtual. At this point, that decision has not been made, because we are working very closely with the hotels, hoping that we are going to be able to have it as either a hybrid with some people there face-to-face and some people at home, or as totally face-to-face. That decision will probably be made by the administrative board when it meets the second week in May. Currently, we have an international conference scheduled in Portland, Oregon, and we have one scheduled in San Antonio, Texas. They are basically the same theme for each. Tampere, Finland had to be postponed mainly because of the COVID outbreak. That country is still isolated. It is not open. And we realized early on that was going to be an issue. And so that has been postponed until 2023. By attending the conference, one of these two conferences, either face-to-face or hybrid with virtually, you will be available to see international committee work through workshops, takeaways, and fast breaks. There will also be a different keynote speaker at each one of these two conferences. The DKG News and your website have the information about who those women will be. They will each be receiving funds from the Unitemple Holden Leadership Committee Fund that is put forth and honored by the Holden Committee. Events will focus on relevance to your personal, professional passions and priorities. And before you register for either one or both of these conferences, you might want to look at the video that is on the website entitled Before You Register. It's on the conference registration page of our website. There's a lot of information about each one of these two conferences there for you. Again, it will be the board that will make the decision about whether or not these conferences will be virtual, or if they will be hybrid, or if they will be face-to-face. What happens at one does not necessarily dictate what will happen at both. One might be face-to-face, one might be virtual. We just have to see how it goes. Do you have any questions at this point? I want to ask that before I go on to the next slide.
I don't see any indication of any questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thank you, Eileen. Okay, she wanted you also to know about leadership training. Leadership training normally takes place before each one of the conferences. During the last biennium, we made a change with that, and we tried to do our best to have as many of our state leaders come to Iowa for their training. The reason behind that we expressed at that time, and we still hold with, is the fact that it gives you an opportunity to work with everybody, all the leaders in the society, and we were able to put you into groups based on the size of your membership, maybe the number of chapters in a given state, because the problems and concerns and successes in many state organizations are reflected by the number of people they have in that state or the number of chapters. Smaller states, smaller memberships have different issues than those with larger memberships. It was received initially, before people got there, with mixed feelings. I'm happy to say that upon reflection and after participating in it, we received many, many positive kudos about changing the format of these leadership training. With that in mind, there will be in the future, now and in the future, one leadership training for everybody. This year, it will be from July 30th through August 1st. It will be held in Atlanta at a hotel at the airport to make it very convenient for members flying in and so forth. This is training that is open for your 2021-23 state organization presidents, treasurers, state organization membership chairs, and state organization EEC chairs, or program chairs, if you still use that terminology. In addition, any states that have brand new executive secretaries who have never been trained before will have the opportunity to send them as well. There'll be general sessions to address information common to all the groups, breakout sessions for each group facilitated by international committee members, and opportunities for each set of state organization leaders to meet together in groups based on the size of their state organization, the region they're in, and common areas of concern. There will be many more details coming. Compensation, as far as monetary compensation for attending, is outlined in the Constitution, and it will be basically room and board paid by the society, and a set stipend paid for those traveling for your travel expenses. More information will be coming as soon as the International has all of the new leaders in hand, at least their contact information, then that information will go out. Currently, it is set for Georgia, Atlanta as a hybrid meeting. So you will have the ability to come face-to-face if you choose to. If you choose to stay home and Zoom in, you can do that as well. Again, that's for your new state organization presidents, treasurers, membership chairs, and EEC chairs, as well as any new executive secretaries. Any questions about that? even if you're not one of those people, you need to know where your leaders are going to be this summer, and you need to know that they are being trained by International. So that's why she wanted that shared with you.
There are no questions that I see, but there is some interference. I'm not sure where it's coming from, and I apologize. There's some, somebody was moving around the microphone or something, so I apologize for that.
No problem. I didn't hear a thing. Let's move on then. I got 2 more slides and then we can get to the real questions we're really interested in. Positivity and connections during uncertain times. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here, because if there's a state that has a state organization that has shown positivity and connections during these uncertain times, it is Ohio. You have taken a lead on that. I just want to remind you of the importance of the DKG website and publications. Please read those publications. We've gotten smart these days. We understand. Some of you are going to read the newsletter. Some of you love to read the blogs. Some of you like to read other things that come out. We know you're not going to do it all. Some of you love the Facebook. So we've gotten smart. The articles we put in the newsletters are now becoming the basis for our blogs, the basis for our tweets, the basis for our Facebook, because we're going to get you one way or another. So please make sure that you are aware that the news that you are looking at is probably somewhere else and maybe more fleshed out in another area than what you're reading, but it's there, and we're trying our best to make sure that you get the information you need. We want to ask you to invite other chapters to join with yours during Zoom sessions, to share special topics and special features that are relevant to your members during this time. My chapter, I know, has done this several times, and it's been great to see other people, and it's been great to be able to share good speakers with other DKG chapters. They don't have to be in your state. They can be in other states too. My fondest desire as membership chair in Alpha Alpha, Virginia, is to make a connection with Alpha Alpha chapters in other state organizations and invite them to some of our chapter meetings during the next year. And that's something I'm going to share as an idea that I hope some of you might want to do as well. What does Alpha Alpha look like in Ohio? I have to see if I can find that chapter. Have Alpha Alpha. Be intentional about connecting with other members. And that is something. I'm not a great phone person. I gave up the phone many years ago when my teaching took over more than I wanted it to. But I have learned during COVID that picking up the phone and just talking to somebody else, being intentional, connecting with a member I've not seen at a meeting is so special. And it makes me feel better for having done it. But it also keeps me in contact with people that I've cherished throughout my DKG career. So be intentional about contacting other people. Recognize milestones and special honors or events among chapter members. That's even more important during these times. And I know, again, preaching to the choir, Ohio has no problems with this. The last thing that Becky wanted to talk to you about was collegiate membership. I've got a couple questions, 4 questions I'm going to put up on the screen, and I'm going to answer each one of them. These may be questions you had that would have come up during the discussion later tonight, but I want to address them now with the answers that she has provided to me. Does a chapter have to have collegiate members? No. Chapters are not required to have collegiate members, but your chapter rules must reflect that there is a category called collegiate members and what that collegiate membership category involves. That information is in your Constitution, the International Constitution, and online. So please make sure that you are adhering to that. Are women who have been or are employed educators eligible for active, are they eligible to have collegiate membership? And the answer there is no. If a woman is or has ever been employed as an educator, she is eligible for active membership. Collegiate membership is solely for women who are preparing for employment as educators and are enrolled in courses, either undergraduate or graduate, toward that end, but they have not begun their teaching career. Upper level or graduate level student teachers who are not paid to teach are also eligible for collegiate membership. And I think that has been a question some people have had during this biennium. How do we make connections with colleges of education? Because that's where you're going to find your collegiate membership. Possible sources to explore are college fairs and contacts with education departments, deans, chairs at the college and university level. So keep that in mind. How do we effectively engage our collegiate members? Well, the first thing you can do is to ask collegiate members to help plan or present chapter programs. Don't overwhelm them by making them do this, but there may be something they want to share with you about what is different with student teaching these days. I imagine that that experience has been quite different during COVID. I personally would like to know more about that myself. Develop a chapter plan to mentor your collegiate members. Ask them about their needs and their interests. And that's very important, because if you find that you have 2 or 3 that are have majored in math and they're going to be math teachers, and you have some members in your chapter who were or are actively teaching math, it would be great to connect them together. The experiences they've had may dovetail very nicely into the experiences these collegiate members are going to have, either in student teaching or when they get into the classroom. So she wanted me to pass these things on to you and let you know about these particular topics. So at this point, and this is where the magic begins, to see if I can do this, I'm going to stop sharing so I can see all of your faces. And Eileen is going to help me by letting me know who has questions, and we're going to answer those questions. Now, let me tell you right up front, immediate past presidents do not know all the answers. International presidents do not know all the answers. There were no days that I did not go to Nita and ask her something, or that Nita did not come down and ask me something, or that the 2 of us got together with several other people in the office and hashed out what we thought the answer might be. Point in case, what do you do when you have a lockdown and COVID takes over? We didn't know what we were doing any more than the rest of you. So I will do my best. I will be very honest. If I cannot answer a question, I will tell you I can't answer it, and then I will find the answer for you. Okay, so here we go. Whoa, it worked like magic. I can't tell you how nervous I've been about that button all day long. So, okay, Eileen, questions?
I don't have any right now from anybody. I'm sorry.
I can't believe that. I know you have. I know Ohio has more answers than questions, but there's got to be something out there you're concerned about. I see someone's hand up. Jeannie Bennett.
Yes. Are there any leadership seminars for the common member?
There are always workshops for the common member. And the common member, remember, is the most important member. But there are always workshops that deal with leadership that you will find as part of our conferences and definitely as part of our conventions. Definitely.
Okay. But not
Also,
the one on July 30th through August 1st.
no, those are strictly, we're actually training our the people who've been elected to be your officers so that they will know what the expectation from international is about what they need to do. We
Okay.
also help them learn how to work with their teams. I know last time, one of the activities we did, and Diana may remember this, dealt with a jigsaw puzzle. And we gave pieces out, and we went through an activity that helped not only the people participating learn how to form teams, but it helped me as your international president determine which presidents, I could tell immediately after this activity, which presidents were going to be very strong leaders. I knew which ones I was going to have to work with very closely. I knew which two were actually not going to listen to anything I had to say. It was very telling. So yeah, there are lots of things that go on, but they're geared toward helping our new leaders at the state level. In turn, we hope that your state levels leaders go back and they share these with chapter leaders, because the training they get at international is very easy to duplicate at the state level for chapter leaders, or for, as you want to say, the common member. But you're right, all of this is great. Everything I learned about being a leader, not necessarily in DKG, but a leader in my school system, in my school, quite a bit of it I got from DKG leadership training.
Kathy, we do have a couple questions that have popped up.
Okay, great.
And Todd asks, tell us about the selling of the headquarters building, and will there be a new headquarters? If so, what does that look like?
Okay, that's good. Oh, this is my favorite topic. I hung on to the very end until we were able to get that contract signed, and Becky and myself and Nita are the signers on that contract. The deal with the contract is that there are certain stipulations that have to be met before that contract is legal, binding, and we receive the money that we have been offered. And a number of them have to deal with permits that you get in Austin so that you can actually build the building. If we don't get the permits, then there is no building, there will be no sale. We have gone through every hoop except one. We have gone to the Historic Landmark Commission, because at one point, not many years ago, we helped a student at UT with a project, and she did such an outstanding job on it that we got national recognition as a historic site, a landmark site. Thank God she didn't do it for Austin. If it had been an Austin landmark, there'd be no sale. We'd be there for the rest of our life, which would have been very bad, because that building is a 50s building, and I'm a 50s woman. I was born in 1950, so I know how old that building is, and I know how that building is. The electrical work is outdated. We've done as much with technology in that building as we can possibly do. We cannot move forward there. Not to mention the fact that we are in downtown Austin, and we, especially after the pandemic, we know we don't need to be in downtown Austin. We don't need 19 people in that building every day, and we have about double the space of what we need. Yes, there will be another headquarters. It will not be the type of headquarters that you are used to. It will be more of a modern office. It may be leased, it may be built, it may be bought. We do not know at this point, because until we are sure the contract is going forward, the administrative board has done nothing more than simply talk about what we would like it to look like. But there are certain things that we know will be different. And I doubt, and this is just me, no one else, I doubt if we ever have every one of our staff members working every day in any building that we are in going forward. Not after the pandemic. We have seen that our staff members can do a beautiful job at home. Many of them like to do that. We have several that, because of health issues, will probably never be able to come back anyhow. It's going to be quite different. I think it's going to be quite good. We will have an infusion of funding that will allow us to realize our mission and vision in ways that we have not been able to do in the past. And that, to me, is the main reason to go forward with this. But again, until we get a demolition permit, which is what the city has to give us, and that comes up on May 5th or 6th at their council meeting. Until we have that in hand, we don't know where we're going at this point. We will stay in Austin, though. I can tell you that. We will stay in Austin.
I have another question, and I may not be able to pronounce your name, Jan Scholman. She said, given the controversy in Georgia, is it too late to change the leadership meeting?
You know, I'm not sure, and I understand what you're saying. Because of where we're going to have that meeting, I don't see that as much of a conflict. And, you know, we do not, we try to steer clear of politics in this organization, as well as religion. So I'm not sure that we could do much about that. We have a contract. I do not know, and because I am no longer the president, I cannot speak to what that contract says. I don't know if we have an out or not. At this point, I think that's a great question. It's something I will make sure Becky is aware of. But again, we don't, as a group, and remember, we are an international group, not a US group. We have to think about all of our members worldwide. And what we see as a controversy in our country is not a controversy outside of this country. So I'm going to leave it at that, but I'm glad you asked that question, and I will carry it forward.
A comment from Ruth Scott.
Yes.
Reminding everyone here, Ohio has leadership conferences too.
I knew that, but I knew that I wasn't going to say that. Thank you. It was better coming from a member. So
Debbie Cantor said, after reading descriptions on the DKG website, and the international conferences seem to be somewhat different, the two. So it makes it a little difficult to decide which one to attend. Portland seemed to be geared towards leadership and an all-day session for the parliamentarian sessions.
mm-hmm.
So are they?
Well, yeah, that was because the regional directors, the Northwest and Southwest, Janice Barr and Barbara Clausen elected to host a parliamentary workshop ahead of time. And yes, that is different. Each one of the set of regional directors could have had some kind of pre-conference event going on. I know that in San Antonio, what they envisioned was the foundation, our new foundation, presenting some kind of event ahead of time. We ran into some issues with the locality and what we wanted to do. I know that they are going to have some kind of special presentation about San Antonio with a walking tour and along the river walk and so forth, to let you know more about the history of that particular area. So theirs is going to be a more cultural focus. And if you've ever been to San Antonio, if you've ever been to Riverwalk, which is fabulous, you'll understand it is in the heart of the Spanish Hispanic culture. And it'll be more of that kind of focus. And the other one will be, I wouldn't say geared strictly toward leadership, but it's going to have that parliamentarian training if you are interested in doing that. I did that years ago. That's where I got my interest in parliamentary procedure. It's excellent. I know that Helen Popovich is going to be leading that with Lena Jean Cook. Both of them are PRPs. They are professional registered parliamentarians. And that is a hard certificate to obtain. I'm just a lowly RP, and that was bad enough. I think I took 8 tests in order to get mine, and they have a whole lot more they have to do, but they're excellent teachers. It will be well worth your while if you want to learn more about parliamentary procedure. Maybe not to be a parliamentarian, but to know what's going on in a meeting makes you feel a whole lot smarter and more into what's going on. So conferences in the future are not going to be the same everywhere. That way you have to pick and choose what your interest is.
We have a question from our president. Cathy, you said you are the membership chair of your chapter.
Yes.
What is your advice to other chapters to grow the membership numbers?
Well, I hate to say this. I've been on the job for a year almost. And so far, I've lost 3 members to death. I've gotten really good with memorial services. So my second year is going to have to be definitely pumping up the membership. I live in Hanover County, which has Randolph-Macon College, where my husband taught and where I did some part-time teaching before I fully retired. I'm going to be hitting that education department, and I'm going to be bringing in collegiate members next year. That's what my goal is, because I think we need to have some young'uns come in and inspire us. But it has been very hard for me this year to do much with growing membership, mainly because I've been away from my chapter definitely for 2 years. I was physically away in Austin. I don't know a lot of my members. So what we've been doing is working on getting to know one another and remembering those members that we have lost. And I can't tell you, but that has gone, having those kinds of ceremonies, especially during COVID, when many of our members are not able to go to funerals and there aren't funerals, has been very meaningful for our members. I think they are cognizant of the fact that next year we have to really work, but we're going to work on collegiate members. That's what we're going to be working on. I have one other thing I'll share that I'm going to do. We have a lot of retired teachers. I live in an old schoolhouse. My home is over 100 years old. It was an elementary school, the original elementary school in this area. I am making contact with the principal of the current elementary school, which is like 2 blocks over. And I'm going to be adopting that school. And I want to use that as something that I can help our members do by adopting a school in their area to work with. I think that's the way that retirees can find new members in schools that they work with, because it's hard. It's hard.
This is from me. There aren't any others right now.
Okay.
Having been an editor and current webmaster, I miss getting together with my cohorts from other places. Just many of them have been in the position for years and don't need training, but there are numerous questions that come up that other people could answer for other editors and other webmasters. Is there anything in the works to allow us to have a Zoom meeting for editors and webmasters? And I think they should be together, quite frankly.
Right. And I think that's a great idea. I do not know if anything is physically on the table for either of the conferences this summer, but I think that is a question that needs to be brought forward and taken to Becky. If it's not there for the conferences, it certainly needs to be there for the convention in Louisiana. But I agree with you that, and as a former editor, state editor and chapter editor of newsletter, and now webmaster for my chapter, I agree. It's a great way to share information and so forth. What has happened is that people in those positions stay in those positions for long periods of time, usually. And having training every 2 years was not something that was as effective as it could have been, mainly because they knew more, the editors knew more than the people that were there to train them. So I think the whole idea of having Zoom meeting, and you could even do this, Eileen, periodically. I don't think you need to wait for a conference to do it. I think it's something your regional director might be willing to pull together for each region, because I think we know the value of Zoom now. We know the ease by which we can use it. It's not a panacea, but it certainly goes a long way, and it's a lot cheaper than getting on an airplane, renting a room somewhere, room and board and so forth. You can get the same amount of information and share ideas in a very meaningful way. So I thank you for asking that question. Yeah.
I don't have any more unless somebody raises their hand perhaps, because I don't have anything in the chat.
Nobody has any
It's not.
Does,
Oh, there it went. Yeah, it wasn't recorded.
Oh, I wonder
But it-
what.